take your meds every day. And by meds, Anita was not talking about like a magic pill box that you bought from a pharmacy. She was talking about M for meditation, E for exercise, D for diet, as in healthy nutrition, S for sleep. She said, if you do these four things, just these four things, in addition to anything else you want to add on, you're already doing a lot of things to take care of this inner technology, and you start experiencing life at a peak state and expressing yourself at a peak state. So let me demystify that for you a little bit, because this seems, those four pillars, meditation, exercise, diet, as in nutrition, and sleep, can seem a lot of big pieces to move around in your life. And this is where you start simplifying it. Another experiential lesson I learned along the way is start at the lowest possible threshold that you can't say no to on a daily or weekly basis, and then work your way from there. So before you get an advanced practitioner of this technique, find what is the lowest possible and demystify it, get it down to a simple term. M for meditation. If you don't have a regular meditation practice, and some of you may have done elaborate meditation techniques, maybe you did the Vipassana meditation course, 10 days, 14 days of silence, maybe you've done a year-long retreat, who knows. But if you're not a practitioner, start with like a minute of spaciousness in your life. Just a minute you give yourself to find some level of peace and quiet, whatever that means to be you. And I don't want to be prescriptive here. It might be just sitting with a cup of tea in your garden, breathing and just kind of noticing the sun coming up, or going for a walk for 5 minutes and observing, or a more formal sitting meditation. And that's my practice. And ideally they say 20 minutes or 30 minutes twice a day. I struggle with it to fit that all in, but I have a commitment of 1 minute a day. That might seem completely useless. No, a minute is not that much. But in the 1,440 minutes I have in a day, there's not a single day where I can say I don't have a minute to take care of myself. So it becomes easy to then say I have a daily meditation practice, and often it's just a minute a day. But in most days, and after you do it for a while, the minute becomes 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and becomes easy to have. Fortunately, I work in a company where they have daily meditation sessions, and one of them is at noon. So I have like a standing non-negotiable appointment at 12 on my calendar when I'm going to meditate with my colleagues. And especially during the pandemic, they're doing it on video conference. So on most days, 12 o'clock means my brain says meditation time, and I sit with the rest of the group for half an hour. So it gives me a structure. E for exercise. Again, there's a lot of science that exercise kinesiologists have developed and put out there. But start with, it simply means, for this context, move your body. Our body likes movement. And for me, it's yoga, swimming. Even though pools are closed, I'm fortunate to live on a large body of natural water, and I get out there and swim, or going on a bike ride, or I simply walk around the body of water. So some form of movement, however that may fit, ideally outdoors if the weather and your terrain permits, close to any form of nature. Move your body. And here again, you might have, you might use by a Peloton, you might have an interval training routine, which I do on 2 days a week, but find some sort of movement, both the aerobic, or not both, some component of aerobic flexibility and weight training. But start with the simplest, don't overcomplicate it. If you don't have a routine, put on your shoes, get out of the door, walk for a minute up outside your door, walk back, and you have an exercise regimen. D for diet, very complex topic because there's so much about it. A simple thing to remember, and I break it down for people I talk to, is eat things that grow on plants. That's been proven. Science's evidence is there. That seems to be the healthiest. So if it grew on a tree, shrub, or bush, that's good. Second, as close to its natural state as possible. Again, the evidence show the more humans touch it and send it through a factory and process it, the worse it seems to be from a nourishing perspective. So just follow that simple rule. And I often joke and say, eat things that grow on plants, not made in plants, as in that factory. Things that grow on a plant, not made in a plant, as close to its natural state, and then don't eat too much. Again, be aware of how much you're putting in. It's primarily to nourish yourself, not to get to a state of gluttony. And be grateful, because every meal we eat, about 100 people have touched it. We'll never get to see them. They're doing jobs much harder than what you and I work in, and for much lower wages. So the fact that when a plate of food is in front of you, so many humans were involved just should give you that sense of humility and interdependency on the planet. And so eat with a sense of gratitude. And then the final advice I give around that is make water your beverage of choice. So as much as possible, if you can, drink more water. And how much should you drink? A simple thumb rule is take your weight in pounds. So let's say you're 150 pounds, divided by 2, that's 75. Drink 75 ounces. And typically the water bottles today are 25 ounces. So simple rule is fill it 3 times. That's what my rule is. S for sleep. And I'm a hypocrite giving advice on this topic because I violate this rule all the time. The pressures of working in a tech company that's global, which just seems to constantly destroy any determination. But again, the evidence shows that 7 to 9 hours of sleep, ideally starting before midnight and at a consistent time, is the best thing that you can do because the body has a repairing, self-learning mechanism. It's a self-healing system. And if you just give it that 7 to 9 hours of sleep, last night I did it, win for me. On weekdays, I struggle with it, I have to admit, getting to bed before 12 and sleeping for a full 7 to 9 hours. But if you can somehow figure out a system by which you're going to bed at the same time, sleeping 7 to 9 hours, there's plenty of research and evidence, like Dr. Detmer at Stanford and Dr. James at Cornell University, etc. And probably Dr. Kusum will speak more about that. So that is the magic formula, simple enough, accessible to everyone. That's a portal to happiness where you're using your body as a vehicle to happiness in the midst of everything else that is going on.